And we do want to mention the huge response we've had to the documentary we aired last KGW, Tent City USA, looking at how we got here. Tracy, I know on social media there have been several hundred people commenting.
Absolutely, Kathy, hundreds. That's amazing, the response we've been getting on this. We want to share just a few of them with you. Cole says no one wakes up and decides they want to be homeless. The only way to end homelessness is a home. Adam says, I never go to Saturday market anymore. I never take visitors to Waterfront Park. It's embarrassing that so many are left to fend on the streets. Eileen says, tents offer dignity and privacy. Think for yourself. If you didn't have a roof to call home, what would you choose?
Yeah, we're happy to have our Kyle Iboshi back with us this morning. Of course, Kyle and our Maggie Vespa spent several months working on the piece that we hope you had a chance to watch at home last night between 6 and 7 here on KGW TV. And one of the topics that you addressed right out of the gate, simply the number of tents and how we've seen that number multiply over the past decade. Kyle.
Right, and these tents, they're visible. We all see them, whether we're driving to work, heading home, taking our kids to school, they're all over the place. So we wanted to explore, first of all, who's living in these tents. The second piece of this, how did we get here? Why are there so many tents in Portland? Here's a portion of our documentary.
Homeless camps, crime, and trash in the Lentz neighborhood as people who live there asking the city for help.
Neighbors have found their car windows smashed, their garbage ransacked.
Neighbors in Lentz have had it with a seemingly endless cycle. Homeless camps get booted just to settle down.
I've been a lot of places and I've never seen it like this, ever. Portland is the worst.
They steal stuff off of our porch, out of our yard. They go through our garbage cans.
We've witnessed daily drug use and drug dealing in broad daylight, people exposing themselves, defecating, urinating.
I'm Sergeant Randy Teig. I work with the East Precinct Neighborhood Response Team. And from my perspective, it just slowly grew. And then it was like I went down the trail one day and went, what just happened out here?
But Kyle, what has happened? I mean, is it as simple as saying it's too expensive to pay rent in our city anymore, so naturally more people are not going to be able to do so?
It's complex on many levels as far as how to deal with the tents. There have been some legal settlements that have made things challenging. There have been some policies implemented. Then they pulled back on this involving former Mayor Charlie Hales. That's part of the complication here. But then there's the dynamic of who's living in these tents, and they are dealing with a number of issues in talking with them. I mean, they readily admit drug addiction is one problem many of them deal with. There are mental health issues. Affordable housing is a challenge. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Well, it's true. And I think last night during the documentary and then following on social media and with the panel discussion, one thing that kept coming up over and over is that many people are surprised that these are local people. People are not moving here to live in tents in Portland. Exactly. They're from here.
Exactly. And that was kind of surprising to me. I mean, heading out, I had the same impression that a lot of people did. Oh, these are people coming into town. They're flocking to Portland because we're so friendly. We offer food and housing, etc. But in reality, in doing these surveys, again, we went out and interviewed 100 people living in tents. The vast majority of them have lived here their entire lives. They're not newcomers.
So you asked the question, what can we do? I mean, if we had an unlimited supply of money, let's build everybody a home. That would be great. But that brings me to my point that you also illuminated the fact that a lot of the people you talked to said, we don't love living in a tent, but if it's between a tent and a shelter, we will choose the tent.
Right. Privacy, such a huge thing.
Yeah, we asked that very question. We said, given a choice tonight, would you rather sleep in a tent or a shelter? Overwhelmingly, they said a tent. And for various reasons. I mean, a lot of them want the independence, they want the freedom to do whatever they want. They also like the privacy of a tent versus a shelter where you're with many other people. So it's complicated and there's no easy solution. Our goal here is to kind of examine the problem and begin this discussion so that now moving forward, hopefully we can look for a solution.
Well, there have been a lot of suggestions of different kinds of shelters, the small houses and Kenton, perhaps shelters that have resources there to help people with drug addiction, things like that. So the discussion has begun, and if you didn't have a chance to see our documentary, it is available online, right?
It is. TentCityPDX.com is the website.
And as a viewer, let me just say real quick, I hope I get to see part 2, which is you examining with our leaders of our city and our town and our county, what can we start to do to make it better?
All right. Thank you, Kyle. We'll be right back.